Who was Alexander really, the man who conquered almost the entire known world before the age of 30? And what kind of boy grows into a legend feared by kings and loved by soldiers? Was he driven by destiny, by his father's shadow, or by a fire inside him that never allowed rest? Alexander was born in 356 BCE in Pella, the capital of Macedonia, to King Philip II, a brilliant but ruthless warrior, and Olympias, a woman of fierce will who filled her son's mind with stories of gods and heroes, whispering to him that his blood carried something divine, that Zeus himself might be his true father. And from childhood, Alexander lived between love and pressure, admiration and fear. Growing up in a court where power was earned with steel and loyalty was tested daily. His father was often away fighting wars, expanding Macedonia through discipline and strategy, while young Alexander watched, learned, and waited, struggling to earn Philip's approval, feeling both pride and resentment, especially when Philip mocked his sensitivity or compared him to hardened generals. Yet Alexander absorbed everything, trained relentlessly, and showed intelligence beyond his years. And when the wild horse Bucephalus arrived, untamable, feared by all, it was Alexander who noticed the animal feared its own shadow, turned it toward the sun, and rode it calmly, earning his father's first true respect and proving that courage mixed with understanding could conquer what brute force could not. Educated by Aristotle, Alexander learned philosophy, medicine, poetry, and geography, memorizing Homer's Iliad and carrying it like a sacred guide. Seeing himself as Achilles reborn, craving eternal glory more than comfort. Yet his youth was not peaceful, as palace politics were cruel. Olympias and Philip fought bitterly, and Alexander often stood torn between loyalty to his mother and duty to his father. And when Philip married again, threatening Alexander's claim to the throne, the tension exploded, forcing Alexander into temporary exile, a humiliation that carved deep scars into his pride. Then came the night that changed everything. Philip was assassinated at a wedding feast. Chaos swept Macedonia. Enemies gathered, nobles whispered, and at just 20 years old, Alexander seized the throne, crushing rebellions with terrifying speed, destroying Thebes as a warning, showing the world that youth did not mean weakness. And once his power was secure, he turned his eyes eastward, chasing a dream his father had begun but never finished: the conquest of Persia. Alexander crossed into Asia with a small but disciplined army, facing overwhelming odds, yet he led from the front, sleeping among soldiers, sharing their hunger, earning loyalty not through fear, but presence. And at the Battle of the Granicus, then Issus, and later Gaugamela, he shattered the mighty Persian Empire, chasing King Darius across deserts and mountains, driven by an obsession not just to defeat him, but to surpass every hero before him. Yet Alexander was not only a conqueror, he was a man who struggled with loneliness, with doubt, with the weight of being seen as invincible. And in distant lands, marching through forests and jungles where the air was thick and unfamiliar, dangers waited. His army faced ambushes, wild beasts, and hostile tribes, and in one brutal encounter deep in the wilderness, Alexander fought fiercely alongside his men, injured yet refusing to retreat, proving again that he would never ask his soldiers to face what he would not face himself. He adopted Persian customs, married Roxana, loved her genuinely. But this blending of cultures angered many Macedonians, and the distance between Alexander and his old companions slowly grew, worsened by alcohol, exhaustion, and paranoia. And in a tragic moment of rage and grief, he killed his closest friend Clytus during a drunken argument, a moment that haunted him deeply, leaving him weeping over the body, realizing that conquest had cost him part of his soul. Still, he pushed forward into India, chasing the edge of the world, where his soldiers, broken by endless war and monsoons, finally refused to march further. And Alexander, furious and heartbroken, was forced to turn back, tasting defeat, not from enemies, but from reality itself. The return journey was brutal, crossing deserts that killed thousands, and by the time he reached Babylon, Alexander was no longer the unstoppable youth. His body was worn, his mind restless, his dreams larger than his strength. And then illness struck, slowly draining the man who had never known limits. And as he lay dying, unable to speak clearly, his generals gathered, asking to whom the empire should be given. And Alexander whispered words that would echo through history: to the strongest. And in his final moments, the fire that once drove him across continents flickered and faded, and the world watched as the conqueror of kings died at just 32 years old, leaving behind no clear heir, only an empire too vast to hold together, soon torn apart by ambition and war. Yet even as his body lay still, Alexander's legend refused to die, living on in stories, cities bearing his name, and the eternal question he left behind. Did he conquer the world, or did the world conquer him? If you enjoyed this story of Alexander, let us know in the comments which moment of his life touched you the most. Was it his first great victory or his final moments? For more powerful and true stories like this, like the video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe so I don't get lost.